are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts, it's like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Everybody, welcome to the New York Knicks podcast, episode 660. I am Jay. How you doing, Mark?
I am doing good. Jay is back from, where were you, Jay?
I was in Thailand for 2 weeks.
We couldn't do a show while you were in Thailand?
Probably not, no. Didn't have my equipment. We had a 12-hour time difference, so would have been a little difficult.
Oh. You sound like you're Mr. Excuses. What's up with that, Jay? Anyway, Jay is back from his annual pilgrimage to his wife's to see his wife's family in Thailand, and we are back to talk Knicks every week for the rest of the year until we have something else going on and don't do a show for a week.
Right. So, fill me in. I mean, I got to watch. I was on a plane ride, and they actually had live TV on the plane, and the Knicks game was on. So I did get to see one Knicks game while I was there.
Okay. You missed some wins. You missed some losses. The Knicks beat the crap out of the Nets while you were gone. They also had to fight the refs in those games. They beat some other bad teams, and now they're coming off two very interesting games. They're probably their worst loss of the season against the Jazz and their best win of the season against the Nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been an interesting ride, and it's still unclear whether the Knicks are a good team. The question is, are they a contender? And it's still unclear.
Yeah, it's definitely been an up and down. They have won 5 out of their last 6. The Utah game was ugly, but I would rather beat a team like Denver because you could write off an ugly loss to a bad team as just like an off night. But when you're going against like Jokic and holding your own, I'd rather that win.
Right, I get what you're saying. And everyone has off nights, and everyone loses games. Golden State lost last night to the Nets. Like, crap happens. But it's interesting because you would have also just expected like the Knicks blow out a team, and they also have a really just like can't stop another team's offense, and it's the reverse of what you would have expected.
Yeah, it is. But sometimes a team gets hot, and there's just nothing you can do about it. Also.
So the Knicks seem like their offense can get really. They have a really, really good offense and a really, really poor defense. Actually, should I go to my topics and then we get into this?
Sure.
Jay, I know you missed my topics. Were you telling your wife while you were in Thailand, I don't know if I even want to be in Thailand now because I'm missing Mark's topics.
This is a long, long time without Mark's topics, and I don't know.
It's hard. It's hard for you. I don't even have a topic for you, Jay, but I have topics about the Knicks.
Okay.
So in today's show, we're going to discuss whether, one move of the offseason. We're going to discuss whether this past summer, when the Knicks gave a 5-year, $210 million extension to Kawhi Leonard, was it worth it? We're going to also discuss for the Brunson isn't a real point guard crowd. Are you impressed by Brunson's 17 assists last night? Or do you no longer consider an assist to be an impressive category now that Elfrid Payton got 21 assists? We will also discuss whether the Denver win was the most impressive and most worrisome win of the season. Did Leon and company get too high on their Nova supply when they went all in for Bridges? Did the Knicks know that the T-Wolves? Another topic we're going to discuss is that the T-Wolves watched Karl-Anthony Towns for 5+ seasons play center, and their reaction to that was to go to basically find every possible asset they had that wasn't locked down and trade it for a defensive center.
Mm-hmm.
Do the Knicks know? Are the Knicks smarter than that? Are Knicks smarter than the Wolves, or should they learn from the Wolves? We'll also discuss whether OG's dunks are more fun than OB's. Do the Knicks have the 6th longest tenured coach in the NBA? And also last for so long, Knicks fans have asked if Tibbs would dare play some small ball with Obi at center. I will now ask whether Tibbs will play some big ball with Towns and Sims out there together. Those are my topics.
All right.
Okay.
So where do you want to start? You want to start with the games, or do you want to just go down the list of topics?
I mean, we could. I guess let's go back to the game. I mean, I guess I was. OG has emerged as a young Kawhi Leonard, or slightly younger Kawhi Leonard. What do you think of OG's emergence? Because he's been kind of awesome.
He's been really, really good. It's a 40-point game last night. He shot 70%. Like he was doing post ups. He was doing mid range, hitting threes. Just really, like, his defense is amazing. If he's gonna play offense like this too, like, he's an all-star, right? Like, it's just.
I mean, the Knicks. I don't know if the Knicks are contenders, but they have 3 potential all-stars in this team. Like,
yeah. So
and which is
the New York Knicks podcast.com, I do the Knicks roster player power rankings, and I had OG at number 1 this week.
Yeah, he's been great. One of the things that they said was in Toronto he wanted more of a role in the offense.
Mm-hmm.
When he came to the Knicks, they said like one of his complaints was he wanted a greater role in offense. He's getting that role. He's a huge part of our offense now. He's averaging just under 20 points a game. He's shooting over 50% from the field, like 43% from 3. He is kicking ass. His dunks are just like awesome. I love every time he dunks, like, he just goes down with authority. They're not like maybe the super athletic Obi dunks, but they're like they set the tone for the game.
Yeah. I think they said there's only been 15 players that have shot 50 from the field, 40 from 3, and I think averaged over 20 points a game. And 3 of them are on the Knicks this year. So that's a good stat.
That is a good stat. The Knicks offense. So the Knicks are right now second in offense. They're second in field goal percentage, second in 3-point percentage, and they are 23rd in defensive rating. And
this offense that's second in everything. This is with Bridges playing some shaky offense so far.
Shaky. An earthquake is shaky. What Bridges is doing is a whole nother level.
So if Bridges,
it's an amusement park ride of shakiness.
I mean, if Bridges gets back to his like Phoenix or even Nets level of offense, this is like an insane offensive starting 5, like almost historical.
It is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous because Bridges is like, I mean, his 2-point shooting is good. Obviously, his 3-point shooting is the issue, and his defense has not been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think in some ways Bridges is held back by how good the rest of the offense is? Like, he feels like he has trouble finding his role?
A little bit, because he was definitely the main focus in Brooklyn, and then in Phoenix he was like the number 2 or number 3 option. Now he's kind of like the 4th option. So
Locked On Knicks made a point. I saw this on Twitter. They said Mikal Bridges' free throw watch hasn't taken one in his last 6 games and 10 of his last 11. Last year, he averaged about 4 free throws a game, which is only getting to the line twice a game.
Mm-hmm.
This year, he's averaging 0.6 free throws a game, which is pathetic.
Yeah.
He's not taking the ball to the basket.
Yeah. That's you can't put the whole thing on the offensive scheme. Like, he's just not really being aggressive.
I mean, people want to rip Tibbs for his offensive scheme. This team is playing maybe the most efficient offense the Knicks have played, or one of the most efficient Knicks offenses in the history of the team.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't, like, I don't know what Tibbs' offensive scheme is, but if his offensive scheme is, hey guys, why don't you just not miss shots? It seems to be working. Did you hear what Mike Malone said after the Nuggets game?
No,
I'll
just
read you the quote.
I saw that he was mad, but I didn't see the quote.
No, this is a good one, because you know Malone used to be an assistant for the Knicks, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he said he worked with Tibbs. Not assistant for Tibbs, but they were both assistants at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I hope for all the Tibbs haters out there who say he really doesn't coach offense, really appreciate offensively, they're elite. Brunson, one of the best point guards. Cat, one of the tougher covers in the NBA. OG, Hart, Bridges, very good team. Embarrassed us in the Garden.
It's good. That's a great quote. I love to hear it.
That's a great, yeah. I mean, they got their asses kicked, and like, you almost want to say that after the game, your team gets their ass kicked because you want your team to like realize they got their ass kicked, so they're motivated for the next game.
Yeah.
But this is clearly like they haven't. Have the Knicks had a lot of good wins this year?
Not a ton. They've beaten
beat
up on a lot of
Philly,
bad
but-
teams. I mean, Philly's
Yeah,
always
they
fun to beat, but it's not like they beat a 3-13 team.
They beat a mediocre Bucks team. They beat the Nets twice. They're not beating. Like, this is the best team they beat all year.
Yeah.
And they beat them with authority, which was great. The Knicks are 7th in net rating this year.
Okay. I mean, that's.
I don't know how much that really fucking matters, but
I mean, net rating's usually an indicator of where you're going to end up in the playoffs.
it's also pretty early. But
Like they have the third best in the East, and they're in 4th. So it's. But if everything shakes out the way you'd think, they'll probably end up in 3rd by the end.
here's why I'm concerned. The Knicks, to win games, have to play lights out offense. They destroyed Denver last night, but everyone was making their shots. And I know Bridges will play better, but other guys will shoot worse also.
Well, Precious is practicing with the team, and Mitch posted on Instagram that his goals for the rest of the year is to be playing by Christmas.
Oh, okay. Those are some good updates. I did not hear either update. Precious is he's near coming back?
He's getting close. Yeah, I think he's back traveling with the team and practicing with the team. I don't know if he's full contact yet, but he's ramping up, which is a great sign.
Okay. Yeah, I saw him on the bench last night, but I didn't know how close he actually was to coming back. So Sims has played okay lately. He's terrible on offense still, but like his defense has been a little better. But Precious is a lot better player than Sims.
Yeah, and we know Mitch is elite defender. So, I mean, help is coming, so this team could look way better on defense pretty soon.
So I guess the point I made that point with Minnesota. I didn't say it in the best way, but the Minnesota watched Towns for 5 seasons. Said we've seen him play center for 5 seasons. We can't take it anymore. They traded as many assets as they could to get Gobert because they were like, he cannot play center. Why did the Knicks see the Minnesota do that with success and say, we think Towns is the center?
Well, they knew Mitch was coming back at some point, and they figured Towns is a better asset than Randall.
Do you think Tibbs will play? Do you think Tibbs will play Towns at power forward, or will he stick with him at center?
Yeah, I think he moves Hart to the bench, moves Towns to power forward, and you have OG and Bridges as the wings.
I know we've talked about this. But you think that's the plan, or do you think like Tibbs is going to be stubborn in the other direction and be like, Towns is a center. I'm sticking with him at center.
No, I don't think he's gonna. I think it's gonna be situational, but I think.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
I think Mitch is gonna be starting some games at center. I don't think you're just gonna be like, oh, Mitch is back and he's playing 14 minutes a game behind Towns.
So you think that was the plan? The plan all along was to have Towns at power forward for long stretches, but the center's injuries messed things up.
Yeah, I think Mitch probably plays around 25 minutes a game, and he'll probably play half of that as backup to Towns, and the other half they'll do Towns and Mitch out there at the same time.
Yeah, I can see there being some combination. But like there are certain stretches, I guess, you want to play quote unquote small ball with Towns at center. The Knicks defense just so in the Jazz game, the Knicks made a huge run in the Jazz game, and they made a huge run with Towns off the floor. And obviously, it's not his. Like obviously, the Knicks are better with Towns on the floor, but it was also helpful to have someone playing at center who could play defense.
Yeah.
And I almost wonder, like, I mean, I know Sims isn't that good, but are you surprised at all they haven't tried at all putting Sims and Towns out there together?
No. No, I'm not.
No.
No. I don't think that lineup's good at all.
You don't think I mean, like, you don't think Sims could, like, add something to, like, I don't know. Towns, Towns' offense is amazing, but his defense, like, I think all the other players also feel like they have to compensate for the fact that Towns plays no defense.
It's
Or not no defense, but mediocre rim protection. Sorry.
yeah. It's not great, but it's not the worst. Like Jokic didn't run amok last night.
No, he didn't. He didn't. I against some bigger centers, he's a pretty good one-on-one. It's more like his help defense than his like one-on-one defense.
Yeah, yeah. So this is
His
starting
team
Mitch's.
defense.
This is starting Mitch's 7th season. Do you know Mitch's first game in the NBA? The Knicks lineup has one player other than Mitch still in the NBA.
When Mitch came into the league, like in 2004 with LeBron? Wait, how many years ago was this?
Yeah, it was only 6 years ago. And
6 years ago, only one person on the team with Mitch is now still in the NBA.
yeah,
That's okay. What was the team?
Trey Burke, Frank Ntilikina, Tim Hardaway, who's in the
He's in the
league,
league.
but like barely. Lance Thomas, Enos Freedom, Alonzo Trier, Ron Baker, Kevin Knox, Hazonia, Vonleh, and Mitch.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
The Knicks were pushing some trash on us.
Yeah. We did a weekly podcast during that season.
Holy shit! So I don't know if the Knicks will win the title this year. I hope they will. Maybe next year. But at least we're rooting for a team that's just flat out good.
Yeah.
Versus like that garbage.
Like,
That is such a bad. And do you remember all the things people said about that team? Like they pretended for so long. Fans on Twitter were pretending Frank was like what they call him, the Fresh Prince or something, whatever, the French Prince.
yeah.
And they're like, Frank, if you just give him the minute, if you look at these stats, like Frank is the best defender in the history of time, and like if he got the minute, he'd be Magic Johnson. Like people were saying insane stuff. Trey Burke for like a hot second, people were like, the Knicks found someone. He was a top 10 draft pick.
They said that about Trier, too. Almost everybody on that team that at some point Knicks fans were like going nuts over.
For half a second before fans turned on Enes Kanter / Freedom, they were like, oh, because he was part of the Melo deal. Like, oh, maybe the Knicks got a good trade with the Melo deal.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Alonzo Trier he was our starting point guard for the first game of the season under our previous terrible coach.
You're going to have to narrow that down.
on
Previous terrible
Fizdale.
coach.
Fizdale.
Yeah.
Do you remember Fizdale started the first game of the season? Alonzo Trier was our starting point guard. By the way, should we mention anyone else you want to highlight from that terrible team? Hazonia.
His claim to fame was that one block on LeBron.
Who was it? The one that was the Giannis stopper? The Greek Freak stopper. We had him on that team.
Was that Vonleh?
Vonleh, yes. Knicks fans were crying crazy how when Giannis was covered by Vonleh, he put up slightly under All-Star numbers. Like
Yeah.
he'd shoot 47% from the field, and people were like, "Oh my god, he's shooting this."
Yeah, Giannis would average 26, and when he played against Vonleh, he would score like 23. People would be like, the Giannis stopper.
You know what's funny? Because back then, Knicks would fans would do anything they can to like define like the slightest hint of hope on the team, and just go crazy about that. And now the team's actually really good, and now the Knicks try to find all the glaring weaknesses.
Right.
Yeah, Knicks fans are never happy.
I'm looking at this roster. Are there any guys we were like excited about? I don't think so. I think this was the dark years where we were just shitting on the team every week.
We were excited about Mitch. We thought Mitch
Right.
looked really good. I remember he got a lot of blocks right away, and a lot of fouls, but a lot of blocks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we both bought into Frank being drafted, and then we were both like, "What the hell's going on here?"
Yeah,
Um,
that didn't last long.
I remember, like, I remember Frank's first play in the NBA, literally his first play. He had practiced like in preseason, like a pick and roll, where basically he was dribbling and just a bounce pass to whoever was the other person on the pick and roll.
Hmm.
I remember him doing the pick and roll. It was such an obvious pick and roll. The ball was immediately stolen, and I was like, "Well, that doesn't look good for our young starting point guard." It was just like he had no NBA sense to understand how like I mean, obviously guys screw up things all the time, but like it was just like the most like he had telegraphed this play. I'm like, it doesn't seem to have like the NBA sense we had hoped.
Shimmy says his colleague recommended this to prevent tanking. Incentivize teams by giving them X number of points per win after X number of games, say 65. X number of games isn't made public to all until after the season, so it's a random draw. I know it's not relevant, but he mentioned. So
Wait, what? How does this going to work?
you get X number of points per win after X number of games. Not really sure how that works. He also says the Cat question has two answers. One, Mitch should be back. Cat is now in the East, a weaker conference. He doesn't think Cat was the original plan at the 4. I just don't see the point of keeping Mitch around to play 14 minutes as backup.
Well, I mean, you could say like now we have an awesome backup center
For 14 minutes a game?
20 minutes a game. Maybe for the most part, I still think they made the trade for Cat put him at center. But I think like the more I've watched them, I think the more they've watched. I'm hoping the more they've watched it, they realize like you can't have Cat out there at center for most of the game. You need some rim protection. I guess we'll see when Precious comes back. When Precious and Mitch are back, especially, we'll get a better sense.
Yeah.
But I do think if you have Mitch or Precious at center, if you have Mitch at center, then the bench looks better also because you can move Hart to the bench. And now you just have more length on the bench also.
Right.
I still worry about these minutes these teams are playing. I feel like any night the Knicks, when the game is not a blowout, it seems like everyone plays 40 minutes a game.
Yes. And I'm expecting that to change when everybody's healthy. Tibbs he should be playing Daddier and Kolek or whatever, but he doesn't trust them yet. So he seems to only trust Payne, McBride, and Sims. And even at that, like usually one of those three guys is playing like 10 minutes. So
I'm surprised they haven't sent those guys to like a game in the G League just to like have a full game. And maybe they just I guess maybe they can't afford to have them not on the bench one night. But like, I'd like to see what they can do in a G League game. But Daddy has hit some threes. His defense has looked very passable. It's been looked pretty good.
His defense has looked really good. I've been impressed with Daddier, yeah.
Yeah, Huck Porty's like in his limited minutes. He had that one game where he got a decent amount of minutes and looked pretty good. I was reading that people like Tibbs gets very frustrated with guys when their team defense is poor, and a lot of the young guys just haven't learned the team defense yet, and that's what kind of holds them back also.
Gotcha.
But they know how to defend. Like they have good defensive instincts, but they're not on the same page in defense as everyone else on the floor because they just haven't practiced enough. Kolek has looked okay. He's hit some threes. I kind of was hoping for more from Kolek, but he also hasn't been given a lot of chances either.
Yeah, he looks good in flashes, but yeah, I thought in the Utah game he played 8 minutes in the first half, and I'm like, oh, he broke into the rotation, and then he played like 3 minutes the rest of the game. And
it's the inconsistent minutes don't make a lot of sense, but like Tibbs has done a good job at developing players. Like guys have gotten better under him, so like I can't fully question his methods.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. It's just I feel like at a time where players are playing too many minutes and you have a guy that looks interesting, I would like to see. I'd like to see them play a little bit more rather than all the starters play 40 minutes a game.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to be like there are some games where you're like they played a bad team and they won the game, or they almost lost it, or just lost the game, but like did everyone need to play like in game 13 of the year, go all out? Like at some point, guys are gonna get injured.
Yeah,
And that's what my concern is. Like, I feel like OG, you might want to play him 34 minutes a game, like instead of losing him for like 6 weeks, which is coming at some point.
yeah. Tibbs seems to be pretty conservative with Towns. Like he's usually like 5 minutes less than the other starters. I would like
Yeah.
to see OG get that 5 minutes less as well.
Well, he also has a more natural backup for. I mean, even Sims is not great, but it's a little bit more of a natural backup. The other guys, there's no natural OG or Bridges backup right now because the two backups are Campaign and Deuce McBride. Both are really just guards.
Yeah, yeah, and there's no real wing coming back. Like they're just not on the roster.
Right. You need a guy to like make a move at the deadline, or more likely have a guy get released and you pick him up after the deadline. And like a guy like who's the guy they signed recently? The guy named after the quarterback.
Matt Ryan.
Yeah, Matt Ryan. Like Tibbs put him out there a little bit, and you're like, I feel like Tibbs was like, okay, I'm not sold on this guy, and then he went right back to the bench.
You know, T.J. Warren is averaging 26 points a game on the Westchester Knicks.
I was just gonna bring that up. He's been dominating Westchester. Like, why don't they call him up or give him a roster spot? Why is Jacob Toppin have a roster spot? Everyone else, I get like why they have a roster spot. There is no when are the Knicks developing Jacob Toppin? Do you have to do a favor to the Toppin family when Obi's not even on the goddamn team for a year and a half at this point?
The Toppin family is part of the New York crime family, and they owe him a favor.
I get why Bronny is on the Lakers. I understand that. Why is Jacob Toppin? Is there any NBA skill? Are you watching him be like, oh, well, we have something here. The Knicks developing for the next 30 years. He might be able to play a 5 minutes a night kind of player.
Well, also,
They barely put him out there in like garbage time. They have no. TJ Warren looks pretty decent. Give him a shot.
I also don't understand why the Knicks didn't bring up Moses Brown from Westchester.
What did Moses Brown do?
He's a center that was looking good in the Westchester Knicks. And so the Pacers signed him, and in 12 minutes on the Pacers, he scored 15 points with 4 rebounds and a block.
Points.
Well, he had
Sims is so good.
He had 4 rebounds and a block also.
I mean, I know he got a block there. Maybe his defense isn't that great. I don't know. The Knicks got to watch him a little bit. I mean, I would be more annoyed if they lose T.J. Warren, because T.J. Warren has shown he's a legit NBA player. He had a bunch of injuries, and now he's in the G League. But a couple years back, he was tearing things up in the playoffs.
Yeah. I think the worry was that he was still injury prone and maybe washed up, but he's balling out in Westchester, and the Knicks need a backup wing really bad. I'd say
Even if he can't play defense, it's still like at least a guy who could score off the bench. Plus, Jacob Toppin is the equivalent of a paperweight right now. He is not. Why does he hold down a roster spot?
right, or even if Matt Ryan's not going to play, that's a spot too.
I mean, in theory, the Knicks just signed Matt Ryan. They must have some plans. They must think maybe he can develop and play. They seem to have no belief that Jacob Toppin can play.
Right. Yeah, he only goes in a 30-point blowout, and even at that, it's only with 3 minutes left in the game.
Would you trade right now, straight up, Jacob Toppin for Bronny James?
No. I don't think
What are the
Bronny
Grand
James
Knicks?
is even like he stinks in the G League right now.
Yeah, he hasn't been very good.
He was like 2 for
By the way-
10 in the G League.
Do you want to do a where are they now for the Knicks?
Sure.
Okay, 3 players. First, RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett is tearing things up with the Raptors. He's having a good year. His shooting numbers have fallen back down to earth. But I bring him up because I saw on Reddit a Toronto Raptor fan he posted RJ Barrett free throws. He said, Raptors fan coming in peace. I was just wondering, was RJ this terrible at free throws? I mean, his main ability is getting to the rim, and he draws a lot of fouls, but can't hit a damn free throw, especially in the clutch. Aside from honestly 12 months later, aside from that, honestly, 12 months later, the RJ Barrett experience in Toronto has been great. So he's still not hitting free throws. That's pretty fun. I just asked him, like, I was like, how's his defense looking in Toronto? And the poster wrote, really bad.
There you go. So
There's
have fun with that.
Also, Jamal Crawford. You know what he's doing these days?
Well, I know he did the last game.
Yeah, he's filling in for Clyde, and he's been pretty good.
Yeah, he was decent. Yeah, he wasn't bad at all.
Yeah, I like having like I like when like ex players of your organization, even Crawford played here only for a few years. Like I like when they're like your announcers. It's fun.
Yeah, it makes more sense than Wally, who just attached himself to the Knicks after never playing for the Knicks. It's so weird.
It is. I don't mind Wally. A lot of people do mind him, but yeah, it's just like when you can like tell a story from playing in the Garden because you played in the Garden.
I don't mind Wally. It's just like, what are you doing here?
He just got a job here. He's like, I'm Nick for life now.
The Knicks have like 20 new players every year. There's got to be hundreds of ex-Knicks, and they end up with like Wally, who never played for the Knicks. It's so weird.
Right? Is there so many Knicks? And obviously you have to be pretty talented to do this. But like there's no one. Can Allen Houston not like talk a little bit? Like,
Yeah,
is there
I
no
don't
one
know.
else they could hire?
It's strange.
And then where are they now? Which I referenced earlier. Elfrid Payton, the preferred point guard for the early Tibbs teams. What do you know? What do you want to highlight again what I mentioned before? Where is he now?
He's on the Pelicans because that team was decimated, and he had 21 assists last night.
In 30 minutes.
That's pretty crazy.
That is pretty freaking crazy. That's what is it, Chris Chouhan was the last Knick to have over 20 assists?
Also, that was only his third game back after like 2.5 years out of the league.
That is freaking. And it's not like he was passing to a bunch of like all-stars.
Right.
Like, it was a decimated roster, hence the fact that he was even playing, and he got 21 assists.
Yeah, I don't know who's there. I know Zion, Herb Jones, and Alvarado were all injured.
Also, it's reported that Zion fired CAA because they could not get him to the Knicks.
Man, whoever did not bring him to the Knicks should get a promotion.
Right. If anything, you're like, we should all, as Knicks fans, to write a nice thank you letter to CAA for doing their job and not bringing us the Zion problem.
I know there's still people that want him on the Knicks. He's damaged goods. Like
Injuries really more than anything, and obviously maybe he can come into the league, come into each season in better shape. But what a disappointing from the one of the more hyped players coming into the league in the last 20 years. And obviously he's decent, but like he's just decent.
He came into this season looking really in shape, and he still got injured.
I mean, he may or may not. He may never even be an all-star.
Yeah. NYKnicksPodcast@gmail.com is our email. Sam writes, is Cat Mello and Brunson Amari? Brunson and Amari signed as free agents. Cat and Mello got traded. In the first 10 games so far, their offense looks way better, centered around Cat. Offense looks a lot more easy for Cat than Brunson, who needs to dribble the air out of the ball to score.
I'm sorry. What he was saying is who, Amari?
Is Brunson Amari. And Cat Mello.
Be Amari?
I think he's saying Cat is Mello because it's easier for them to score.
I don't see Cat dribbling the air of the ball like that Mello did.
Right. Yeah, Mello dribbled the air out of the ball. I think we got to switch that.
Let's not like Brunson's amazing. He is the best thing that happened to the Knicks in years. As good as I mean, if you had to take one player off, if you had to take one of those things where you have to choose Brunson or Cat, and we don't have to choose right now, but who would you take? You have to take one guy off the Knicks. Who would you take, Brunson or Cat off the Knicks?
We got off the Knicks.
Well, if one guy has to go, I don't think this is even a contest.
I guess Cat. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even a contest. I mean, Brunson has been unbelievable for the Knicks, and in the playoffs, to have a guy who's been here less than 20 games and go like this guy is better in any way, like they're awesome. Like we don't need to compare the players, but like Towns has a ways to go before he has done what Brunson has done in the last 2 years.
Yeah. And Matt writes, Towns is winning me over. He really pissed me off as a player when he was in Minnesota. I borderline hated the guy. I do harbor irrational hatred towards certain players. He's just so damn good. Not even good, borderline unstoppable. Amazing to watch him play against the Bucks. I always expected Giannis to be unstoppable, but it was Towns all the way. And
I gotta say, I maybe had some irrational hate for Towns, maybe because the Knicks like just missed out on drafting him when they got Porzingis, and I don't know. I kind of Towns always seemed to me his defense wasn't great, and he seemed like a player that never played up to his potential. I probably had some irrational hate for him, but he's been goddamn on offense. He seems unstoppable at times.
he does.
Like I don't. There are times where I'm like, why is he not shooting 30 more times a game? Like just get in the ball every play.
He's been awesome. Really, I don't really have many complaints. He's not getting into foul trouble a lot like he was in Minnesota. Really looking good.
He does complain a lot about not getting calls, but I think he gets a lot more contact without. I think it's also one of the things where like he does not have Embiid's whistle, where Embiid gets everything. If Towns had Embiid's whistle, he'd be at the free throw line all goddamn game.
Right.
I also feel sometimes Towns drives the ball to the basket when into contact where you're like, and a lot of times it's fine, but sometimes also he kind of goes for like difficult shots and misses them. Where I'm like, you're an unbelievable shooter. Why don't you just pull it from 10 feet and just make the shot every time?
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's not a perfect player, but he's really good. He's an all-star talent, and their ceiling is higher this year. I mean, we're talking about like the Knicks need a backup wing as opposed to like another starter or something. Like
right.
These aren't bad problems to have.
Right. I mean, we're talking about whether you could add a center to the lineup and so forth, but the Knicks those five guys are goddamn awesome. With Bridges being a bit of an exception, but a guy who's also his whole career been a good 3-point shooter. You have to think the 3-point shooting's going to come back.
I mean, we know Bridges is better than he's been playing. We have a long 6-7 year sample size. Like he's going to be fine. Sometimes it takes a little while to adjust to a new team. Sometimes you go into a little bit of a slump. It's only a month into the season. Like he's going to be fine when he gets it back together. This team is going to look ridiculous.
Right. It's not like he's also coming off some kind of like injury. Bridges is coming off of like I think I messed around with my shot in the offseason. He also his 2-point shooting, like his short shots are all like going in. It's just that his 3-point shooting has not been where it needs to be.
Right. He'll round into form, and then maybe we'll see more bench players because the Knicks will be up by like 20 points.
I am excited to have Deuce back. I really missed Deuce was out for maybe a week or so.
Yeah, it was only like 3 games, but it felt like a month.
It felt like so much. I mean, first of all, Campaign, who still has the weirdest looking 3-point shot in the NBA,
mm-hmm.
he said his shoulder's been feeling better and his shooting has gotten better since his shoulder since his shoulder has been feeling better. More of his shots are going in.
Yeah. Oh, we forgot about Shamet. The Knicks could still get Shamet back when he's healthy. That's a backup wing. Not that that's
How tall is Shamet?
I think he's 6'7".
Is he that tall?
I think so. I'm looking it up right now.
I mean, he hasn't really done anything in the NBA.
Oh, he's only 6'4". Never mind.
Yeah, I thought he was shorter. Yeah, I didn't think he was that big of a upgrade over the guys he currently have. He's more of a shooting guard. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
He hasn't been particularly he's a guy that has potential, but hasn't really done anything yet in the NBA. We have some questions. You want to do some questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Lika writes, "Is championship or bust really a thing for the Knicks?"
Yeah. I'd say yeah because they traded most of their assets. They're capped out. Like there's no more like real building to be done. So now it's championship or bust.
Well, is it championship or bust this season or championship or bust general? Like this team has to win a title, but do they have to win a title this year or it's a bust?
I think this season is probably conference finals or bust.
Okay. I mean, the team, like everyone's like young. I mean, OG's just going into like his prime. What is Cat 29? Brunson's 28, 29. No one's north of 30 yet.
That is true. That is true. It's just as we've seen from other teams, the window can close very quickly. So
Really fast.
you
Yeah.
gotta take it. We were talking about potential dynasties for Denver and Milwaukee, and they both look like they're second round exits now.
Yeah, they both fell apart really fast.
It only takes one or two pieces to go. Like Middleton, basically just too injury prone now. That's it for the Bucks, and losing Brown and then KCP for Denver. Like that's it. It was just like one too many bench pieces gone, and now you got Aaron Gordon injured, and you're struggling to win any games because you got one injury because your bench is too thin.
Speaking of windows closing fast, a team that got eliminated in the first round by the Knicks, Philly, last year, seems to be closed on playing well. They seem to be completely trashed this season.
Yeah. Paul George is elite, one of the all-time best at giving motivational quotes and then not going through on it. He had like 7 points one game, and then he said, "It's time for me to bring out the bully and bully Paul George," and then he basically hasn't played since. So
Embiid is back. I think Embiid might be out till January. They got that guy Jared. What's his name? The rookie who looks pretty good.
McCain looks really good. I'm kind of pissed that they got such a good draft pick because this team would have probably have 0 wins without him.
And Maxi's obviously a very good player, but it's been a rough season for them. This is rough. Like, will we get the 10th seed? Rough.
I want them to get the 7th seed.
Why? You mean seventh worst?
Seventh worst record because top 6, it goes to OKC, their draft pick.
Oh, it's protected. You mean top 6?
Yeah, it's top 6 protected. So yeah, them getting 7th would be hilarious.
You know what I think about that?
Hmm.
I'd say fuck OKC. Every time Hardenstein has played twice for them, and it's broken my heart those 2 games.
I know.
I want nothing but the worst for OKC.
It is gross.
Nothing bad for Hardenstein, but it breaks my heart to see him on that team. I love you, Hardenstein. I hope OKC doesn't get out of the first round.
I mean, it is. OKC is really good at drafting, so it'll probably be a really good player. I don't want to see Philly get another really good player and turn into a good team.
The Dark Knight writes, if OG keeps this up, would he make the All-Star team, and would the Knicks have 3 All-Stars?
It would be really hard to ignore, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, if he's going to do this on both ends of the court, like, I think you have to.
It's a weaker East. The Knicks could possibly, I don't know if they're going to win the title this year. I don't know how good their team is, but they're going to make 3, just because also defense doesn't, when you're picking All-Stars, you focus more on offense. The Knicks offense is elite right now, so they got a decent chance to have 3 All-Stars.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically you don't have to worry about Paul George or Embiid for an All-Star team. If Maxey stays injured, he'll probably make it, but he's 1 injury away from not even being eligible.
How for real do you think the Cavs are? The Cavs are off to an insane start.
They are. I mean, they've always been a really good regular season team.
Yeah, but not this good.
Not this good. I mean, they had the second best start of all time this season, which
that's a pretty good start. I think. I think you could say that's the second best start that's pretty good.
It's concerning because we were worried about Boston, and now Cleveland's in here too.
I still you'd want if the Knicks would be able to beat Cleveland, you'd have to have Mitch healthy. You need to play some bully ball with them.
Yeah.
You need someone who could bet. Their centers are, I think those guys. Allen. I think who's the other guy?
Mobley.
It's Jarrett Mobley. I feel like those guys are still soft. I don't know. I just it will until they beat the Knicks in the playoffs. I do not believe they can beat the Knicks in the playoffs.
I mean, these are the guys
It's
that the
the
Knicks.
same team.
Yeah, it's the same team that the Knicks completely demoralized. Like, they really kept that crew together. So, I think the Knicks can beat them. It's just, you're gonna need a healthy Mitch, and I don't know. Like, I still think the Knicks could beat them.
Fake. One of my favorite accounts on Twitter. Fake Tommy D, Twitter scout Tommy NBA, who just posts Tommy D comments, and he posted to our asking for questions. Said, "Is OJ's contract an overpay?" Asking for a friend, and the friend would be Tommy D, who said, "There's on June 27th said there's literally zero debate that OJ's contract is an overpay. Cost of doing business. Not interested in Nick's Twitter cognitive dissonance. We've come so far to overcome it. Look how differently they have been covered. The truth shall continue to set you free." Tommy D continuing to post the worst possible takes about the NBA and the Knicks.
Just for some context, this is the guy who thought that the Knicks paid market value for Noah when he was completely washed up and the Knicks gave him a 4-year contract. So, crazy person.
Paul writes on Facebook, are the highest Knicks going to keep this up? In any way Tibbs doing, Brunson just consciously trying to be more pass first, or guys hitting more shots? The Knicks, I think, tied a team record, or they broke a team record with 45 assists last night.
Yeah. So that's key. Like, we were talking about that before I went away. That the Knicks, Brunson's surrounded by all these elite level shooters now, and if he doesn't have to dribble the ball a lot, he could just pass it, and you have all these shooters, and he did that last night, and we saw how it looks. So I hope we see more of that. Josh Hart said we won't see that again,
but he was probably making fun of it. I think we've definitely seen he's definitely been a better distributor as of late. I think he started off the season trying to do too much himself, and he's definitely. I've noticed him doing a lot more. First of all, he's now playing 2-man game with Towns. He seems to be setting his teammates. He's doing more of the point guard first stuff. Not all the time, but more so than he was doing earlier in the year.
He's also averaging a career high in assists by a lot at this point. He's averaging 8 a game.
Yeah, that's a pretty good sign.
Yeah, that's a really good sign. So, yeah, I'm really hoping that this trend continues, because if Brunson is racking up assists like that, the Knicks are very difficult to beat.
Paul also writes, sure, getting every offensive rebound and having absolute rim protection is cool, but isn't it fun to see an offense humming and flowing like this?
It's really nice. Yeah, I mean, it's fun to watch.
My concern is, can the Knicks keep up this offense? The offense seems ridiculous. And also on the nights when you're like the Jazz game, where your team is, guys start missing shots, can you win the game on defense? And the Knicks right now have shown they cannot win the game on defense.
Right. But they do have 2 of their best defenders out.
Yes, you keep pointing out this really important fact. Daniel writes,
I think it's a very important fact, yes.
Why are the Knicks such a roller coaster? They look like a team, the best team in the league, and then like an average to below average team. Man, that Denver win was good.
Yeah, I mean, they're shorthanded,
They're up and down.
So sometimes their players are going to get gassed, and there's not a lot of backup right now. Help is coming soon, though. So
yeah.
If Mitch comes back by Christmas, we could have another January like we did last year.
Yeah, I mean, that's not crazy. By the way, the Knicks are also up to almost 37 threes a game, shooting wise. So they made a huge effort since early in the season to shoot a lot more threes, and they're shooting almost 40. They're shooting almost 40% as a team from three.
Yeah, that's
That's
insane.
insane.
Yeah.
That is absolutely. The Cavs are slightly ahead of them at 41%, which is also insane. But the Knicks hitting almost 39.8% as of now, basically. That is freaking crazy.
I'm feeling pretty good about this team now.
There are many seasons where the Knicks didn't have one guy who shot 40% from three,
Yeah.
and now they're doing it as a team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the offense looks pretty darn good.
And the Knicks' schedule isn't that tough going forward.
What do we got? What do we got coming up, Jay?
We got at Dallas, at Charlotte, at home against New Orleans, Orlando, Charlotte, Detroit, Toronto.
You're gonna read the whole schedule to me, Jay?
I was going to go until there was a good team.
Okay. Well, why don't we do the next few games? Let's see what we think's gonna happen.
Okay, so before next episode, it'll at least be Dallas, Charlotte, New Orleans.
Dallas is without Luka for the game. It's already been announced.
Yeah. That should be a win.
Dallas,
it should be 3 wins, really.
I mean, Kyrie is still Kyrie, and he's not easy to stop. Dallas has I think they've won a couple games without Luka.
Still should be a win.
Okay, fine. Charlotte should be a win. Charlotte's garbage.
Yeah.
Who's the third team?
New Orleans.
New Orleans is starting Elfrid Payton. Is it home or away? It's probably away, right?
It's
I'd
home.
love to see Elfrid Payton's. It's home. Elfrid Payton's return to the Garden.
Homecoming game.
Homecoming game. Do you think they'll play a video for him?
They should do a montage, yeah.
A montage of the Knicks playoff season with the first season with Randall.
Yeah, they could show all clips of the one playoff game before he got benched.
They could show Knicks fans in the offseason crying when they found Elfrid Payton was going to be the point guard the following season. Good for Payton. I mean, like, he was a high draft pick. Maybe him leaving the league for 2 years, he's figured something out, and he'll be he can maybe stick around the league as a backup.
Yeah. So
I feel like there are a lot of guys who like have the talent, who can like maybe go play overseas for a couple of years and come back and end up being like you just needed more development. Basically, you can come back and actually play again.
yeah.
Where do you want to do our update on our player power rankings? Not player power rankings, sorry. Our under overs.
Sure. So if the Knicks win all 3 of those, they'll be 13-7, which will put them on pace to win 53 games.
Oh, wow. What if they're 12-8? What would their pace be, Jay?
49 wins.
I don't think you're doing this in your head.
I am.
I think you're a liar.
Okay.
Are you doing this in your head?
Yeah.
No, you're not. Come on.
Oh, is it? It's not that difficult.
Okay, fine. Oh, I guess they're at 12-8. It would be 20 wins. Okay, fine. Whatever.
You see what?
What's their pace right now at 10-7? What's their pace at 10-7?
Yeah,
Do
no,
math.
that I can't do in my head.
I took me a second to realize it was 20 games. So it was an easy math. No, whatever.
Yeah,
This show's
multiply
all
by
about math.
4 and add 1 or 2. Yeah.
You should add 1 or 2. Okay, give it. Let's look on our overs first.
Okay, so it's not in order. Let me just.
Okay, what order? Just whatever order you want to do, Jay.
Okay, so we had under on the Clippers at 35.
Under on the Clippers.
35.5.
30. Okay, the Clippers are 11-8 right now. That under is not looking very good. The Clippers have been Norm Powell. You know, Jay, I looked. I figured like the Clippers are playing well. James Harden must be having a good year, and Harden's averaging a lot of assists, but his shooting percentages suck.
Yeah.
He's shooting like 35% from the field, so it's not like he's even like not like he's carrying this team. I mean, he's distributing the ball, but like Norm Powell, Zubac, like they're getting wins. The West is not as strong as we thought.
I don't expect this to be sustainable. I'm not feeling great about our bet now, but I don't think they're going to be a playoff team.
But you know who's also surprising in the West? Houston. Houston, I knew who the Knicks lost to, and I thought they should have won that game. But Houston now looks like one of the better teams in the West right
Yeah, definitely.
now. Okay, who's our next? What's our next under over?
We had over on Portland for 22.5.
Portland is currently 7-11. By the way, last night DeAndre Ayton did not play. Coach's decision. I'm wondering what's going on with Ayton. Is he injured? Out of the rotation? All I'm saying is, Portland, if you want to cut DeAndre Ayton, the Knicks would gladly take. I mean, we can't trade for him, but if you cut him, we could sign him from there.
Right. Yeah, that would be nice.
Set him free. Just set him free. He'd be great for a backup center for the Knicks.
Yeah. So I'm feeling good about that one.
Okay.
The over. I mean, they're on pace for like 30.
Oh, what was the over?
22.5.
Oh, okay, 7-11. Yeah, they might get there. You're right. Okay, I think that's a good one. What else we got?
We got Grizzlies under 47.5.
47.5?
Yeah.
They're 11-7. Ja just came back. They're looking pretty good. 47 wins is a lot of wins. I still feel pretty good about that one.
Yeah, they're on pace for like 48, so they're right on target right now. But I
Jay
mean,
can do all this math like he is an accountant. That's who he was born to be. He does this math.
but I mean, like they're like a Ja ankle roll away from like not going on a big losing streak again. So
Right. I mean, it's early. I don't believe them to be like an elite team this year. 47 wins would be 48 wins would be a huge season for them.
right.
Yeah.
We have the Knicks over 54.5. They're gonna have to pick it up a little to hit that.
Okay.
Sixers under 48.5. We might have that by January.
What is your bigger mistake in life? Not putting all your money in Bitcoin like 10 years ago, or not putting every penny you had on the under for Philly this year?
I mean, they're going to struggle to get to like 20 wins.
Holy shit. I mean, maybe they get to 30 wins, but 47, what was it, 47?
48.5.
48.5. There is no way on God's green earth they're getting the 48. That would be, they'd have to go on an historical run after this.
Yeah.
It's not even December, and they need an historical run to get the over.
They would have to go 46-20 for the rest of the season.
Embiid would be like, "Oh, I literally found the fountain of youth." Like that's the only explanation that makes sense. I'm taking steroids on the court.
Charlotte under 30.5.
Charlotte is 6-11. 30.5 is not a lot of wins, but LaMelo has not done his annual injury for LaMelo always misses at least 30 games a year. So Charlotte sucks. I'm still confident in this one.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about that one. Let's see. Timberwolves over 52.5 and not feeling good about that one.
Not feeling good about that one. 8-8. T-Wolves fans are already complaining a lot about Randall and DiVincenzo, and just wondering what the hell were the ownership thinking? Jay, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why doesn't Boston just trade Jaylen Brown? Why doesn't Cleveland trade Darius Garland?
Are you saying why doesn't teams just trade their second best player?
Yeah, for no good reason. Why not?
Especially when you get to the conference finals.
You have to go to the conference finals. The next move is to trade your second best player for guys that are worse than him.
I don't know. It's
you're not gonna you're getting closer to the finals, and if you could turn your second best player into two players that are worse, that's the move always.
Our last one is Dallas over 49.5. Not feeling great about that one either. We might lose a little money this season.
Dallas is 10-8. Yeah, I thought they'd be better at this point. What were the ones that we didn't do? That I think you wanted OKC over. OKC's 13-4. but I think the over was pretty high for them.
I wanted the Milwaukee under, which is not looking as catastrophic as it was before.
No, they're 8-9. They're playing a lot better now.
I still think they're going
I
to
think
struggle to hit the over, but yeah,
I didn't want to root for Brooklyn, but the Brooklyn over is looking great right now.
yeah, yeah.
Brooklyn's 8-10. They have a bunch of Dennis Schroeder. They have some veterans. They have some guys that can play. Like they have Cam Thomas, who sometimes is good. By the way, Cam Thomas, the rumor is the guy that Nets fans thought they were building around is on the trade block because then even the Nets don't like him.
I don't know what they're doing. I really don't.
I think they've watched enough Cam Thomas and go like, we're not going to win with him, so let's move on. Let's see if we can get some value for this guy.
You have to have some players who can play basketball, though.
I mean, there are a lot of teams that just aren't going in a direction. Like the Nets, I don't know what direction you're going. Like either you want to be good or just really bad, I guess.
But they don't even have their pick, right?
Do they? I don't know. They might have their pick this year. I don't follow the Nets basketball that closely.
Okay.
By the way, how your fantasy basketball team? Since you have Cade on your team from Detroit, I have been following Cade Cunningham's turnovers. How is it possible one NBA player can turn the ball over this much?
It is. He's single-handedly made me lose turnovers every single week so far.
It is unbelievable how many turnovers. Like he consistently will get like 7 or 8 turnovers in a game.
Yeah.
I don't know what is the ball like covered in butter when he's dribbling it?
It's crazy. He's only averaging 4.6. That seems low.
That seems low because I don't think there's a game that's been under 4.6, but okay.
No,
every time I check, I'm always like floored at how many turnovers. I mean, he must obviously balance it out a little bit, but and he's also a very good offensive player. But holy crap,
he's been putting up crazy offensive numbers, but yeah, he's killing me with those turnovers.
I mean, year 4 in the league, right? And he's turning over the ball like he's a rookie. Good luck, Detroit.
I am 12th in turnovers out of 14 teams. I am shocked there's 2 teams that have more than me. I really am.
Anything else, Knicks, you want to cover?
No, I think we covered just about everything.
I mean, overall, the same discussion we've had every week now that whether Towns is the center or power forward, how will Mitch and Precious slide in? And the new topic also, is this insane offense sustainable?
I do think it is.
I mean, you have Pat historically has been a great 3-point shooter. He's been an awesome shooter throughout his career, so that seems sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
Brunson's putting up numbers he's put up like last year, nothing crazy there.
Mm-hmm.
OG's game has stepped up, but the teams like the spacing is better, and OG's taking smarter shots. He's shooting a little better from 3, but like there's nothing crazy OG's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like there's no individual performance. I'm like, this guy's playing way above his head.
Right, exactly. I think the Knicks just got a bunch of very good offensive players, and yeah, like you said, nobody's playing crazy good. Bridges is shooting terribly, and so the Knicks still have another level they can get to. Like Bridges isn't even shooting. Well, I mean, he's taken like 3 free throws all season, but he's not hitting them either.
Yeah, I mean, the Knicks as a team to get to the line more. I feel like Bridges should get to the line. That's the one area where their free throws they're just not getting to the line enough. Whose stats are these, Jay? 60% from the field, 37% from 3, and 75% from 2 points from inside the arc. Whose stats are these?
Towns?
No. You get one more guess. 75% from 2, 60% overall, and 37% from 3. Do you want more stats from the guy, or you want to guess? 8.5 rebounds, almost 6 assists a game.
This is a Nick?
Oh my God, Jay. Yes. Getting a steal a game, about 14 points a game.
I have no idea. Oh, no,
Plays for the
that's Hart.
Knicks.
That's Hart.
Yes. We're just talking about guys who are not playing. Josh Hart only seems to take the most high percentage shots possible, at least inside the arc. He's only getting layups, but he's making a lot of them. He's shooting pretty well from three.
Yeah.
Do the Knicks have 4 All-Stars?
Maybe. I mean, they're going to need to win a hell of a lot more games to get 4 All-Star nods, but
It's pretty hard to even get more than 2, unless your team has the best record.
Hasn't there only been one team with 4, like, ever? Wasn't it, like, Detroit in, like, 04?
That could be it. I don't even know. But I don't remember a team with 4. I think Boston had 3 last year.
Yeah, I thought that Detroit had it that one year.
I mean, they might have. But Josh Hart, he's been really good this year.
Yeah.
He's still passing up a few. He's not passing up as many open threes, but he's still annoying me at times. But man, he's been great.
Yeah. Yeah, he's taking it up a level. He's averaging career highs in I think field goal percentage, rebounds, and assists.
Yeah, his effective shooting percentage is almost 68%.
It's pretty insane.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Last year, his effective shooting percentage was 49%.
Okay.
See if you can guess which number's higher. Okay, I think that's it for the show.
Yep. So let's see. Sleepless in Jersey says it'd be hard to get more than 1. Boston and Cleveland would probably get 3 each.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true too. It's going to be hard to if they each get 3, that's 6, and the Knicks get 2. That's most of the All-Star team.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for that reality check. Well, that's a very logical reality check. Okay, fine.
All right. So NY Knicks Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Patreon, and Twitter. The New York NY Knicks Podcast at gmail.com. And we do have a Discord. The links are all over those socials and on the show notes when you download the episode. And if you can't find it, just email us and I will send you the link. And that's it. So we'll be back next week. Everybody have a good Thanksgiving. And
we'll be back every week because Jay is back from Thailand. No more annual trips to Thailand until next year, right?
Correct.
Okay.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go.
This is the end.
Say goodbye. You better go away.
I'm gonna